Is this unit the perfect solution to get the sound from analog, but with the instant recall you get in the digital world? Let's find out. This hardware unit over here is the McDSP APB8. And you might think, McDSP, didn't they just do plugins? Or you might think,
why is this box bright green?
kind of a good question. Well, apparently they wanted an analog extension to their digital plugins, and because of that, they invented the analog processing box. Before I continue, this video is sponsored by KMR Audio Germany, who have sent over the McDSP APB8, and through them you can actually pick this or any other gear you want up with a discount if you use my discount code, which is Thomas5. It's here in the screen as well if you don't know how you spell Thomas. Happens apparently. If we look at the McDSP website over here, we can see that they've made a range of specific plugins. So we've got a tape machine emulator, we've got bass optimized bias, I think that's like a low-end generator thing, distortion unit over here, kinetic drive, Varimu compressor, multiband compressor, a mixer, okay, so that's more for saturation I guess. This might be 670, Fairchild 670. Elmo tube. Or is it Elmo? Elmo tube. So they kind of look like stuff we already know. This kind of looks like the Focusrite stuff, but then it's different. It's not exact copies. I'm not seeing like an SSL compressor, maybe a Fairchild here, but it's not really like, okay, we've made clones and that's what we're doing. They made their own designs inspired on different things. All of these McDSP plugins work just as your regular plugins do. So you go to McDSP list and there you've got all the plugins for the APB system. So if we go for the tape, for example, it just shows up over here, but it is not processing digitally. The processing happens inside of this unit. So inside of the APB8 or the APB16, the APB8 is 8 channels, the 16 is 16 channels. You have 8 or 16 channels of processing. And because all the conversion happens within this unit, the plugin can actually send it out to this unit and come back, which is a bit of a nicer workflow than with regular analog gear. On this channel, I've done a lot of hardware versus plugin videos and comparisons. And one thing I found out from comparing those two worlds is that they can be pretty similar if you don't push them that hard. If you push a compressor up to 4 dB and then you compare it to a hardware compressor, it's like, yeah, okay, they both do their thing. It's slightly different, but there's no big thing that's going on. Now, if you push beyond that, if you go to the 20 dB of compression, if you go to distortion, heavy limiting, all of that stuff, I feel that is when you can really tell that something is actual analog components over digital plugin ones and zeros. But I think to really get a feel of what this thing can do and how it is different from plugins and regular hardware, I think we need to run some sound through it, dial in some knobs, and see what we can get out of it. I've soloed the drums of a track that I've mixed called Himalaya by an artist named Hato. And let's try out the plugins. So the nice thing is about these plugins, they just show up in your plugin list. And then over here you have all the plugins. So you've got the ATB, AC8, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you can read them. It's over there on the screen. Let's start with the tape and let's dial that in, see what it can do. Okay, so it already compensates a little bit. It already level matches the input to the output, so that's nice. Let's see what a different tape does. GP9 instead of 456. Okay, this one it does not level match, so we need to take that down a bit. Okay, then we can adjust the comp, which I think is the tape compression, so we can adjust the ratio. So lighter tape compression, let's see what that does. Oh, it's got a nice presence though. So roll off of 44, no, I don't want to roll off. And then we've got a head, so the actual tape head, and there's a 70s and an 80s version. So let's see what difference that makes. Nice. So the 80s one is a bit more forward, a bit more punchy, and then the 70s is a bit more mellow and chill, which is exactly the difference between 70s and 80s. Now, obviously, in this 1U rack unit, they don't have actually spinning tape reels or anything, so it is a tape emulation. Well, we know tape emulations in the analog world from the Rupert Neve 542s, I believe they are. They're Lunchbox 500 series units that can emulate tape-like sound. Then if we look at other plugins in this list, we see a lot of Mu. We've got the 673, if that is a Fairchild recreation, that's also very Mu. I see Royal Mu, I see Mu Tube. There's a lot of, I guess, tube-based plugins over here, and I'm pretty certain that in this unit there's also not any tubes. I'm not sure what to think of this unit, because tube compression and tape compression and saturation they do a certain thing that I'm not sure that a box without any tube or tape can actually emulate. But I might be wrong there. I'm not sure if this plugin is actually going to work on the drums, but I'm trying to not judge the book by its cover. So let's try it out. Okay, it gives it a cool character, so that is probably the analog components. Compression-wise, I don't think this is best suited for drums with that slow release. Doesn't really make it more forward and pushy, but maybe if this is actually based on the Focusrite one, this is a VCA compressor, so that is more in the family of SSL compressors. The Tegeler Cream over here is a VCA compressor, so maybe that would work on the drum bus. Let's see how a plugin does that. Okay, we were doing about 3 dB of compression on a ratio of 4:1, attack on 10, and the fastest release of 100 milliseconds. So let's dial it in and see what we get. Okay, let's see what we get out of the McDSP. Okay, let's see what the difference is between this SSL plugin compressor and the McDSP hardware plugin compressor. Well, let's call them that for now. They're both doing about 12 dB of gain reduction, and now I'm very curious if we can hear a big difference between the plugin and the digital world doing 12 dB of compression versus the analog components in the APB 8 doing 12 dB of compression. Okay, that's interesting to hear. I'm not sure if the McDSP is more usable in this case, but then again, both are not sounding that great in this setting, so it might just not be the right setting for this. We'll maybe try later on a vocal as well. As you may know, I've got a rule when it comes to analog gear in my mixing workflow, and that is that I only insert analog gear on my audio tracks, so not on buses, not on auxiliaries, and not on my master bus. I do that because I need to be able to recall my mixes. And taking pictures of the settings and then hopefully finding them back again when you do the revision and hopefully setting them at exactly the same setting, it's just not really a thing I really like to do. Now this is a big reason why I added the Carnaby HE2 and the Taylor Cream RC to my setup, because they are plug-in controlled analog pieces of gear that automatically recall themselves whenever I open a session. The McDSP APB basically does the same thing, but then a little bit more streamlined. For example, it doesn't have any knobs or buttons on the front plate, which makes it less fun than the rest of the gear that I can actually touch and everything, but it makes it easier. With other pieces of gear, like the HE2 and the Cream RC, I have to actually make a hardware insert so Pro Tools can send out the signal through my converters into these hardware units and then go back through the converters back into Pro Tools. But I also need to be able to recall everything, so I need to actually add a plugin that takes care of all the recall. And comparing that to how the McDSP works, where you just go to a plugin and that takes care of all the routing to the hardware unit and back, it's a lot more streamlined, and I'm saving precious space on my insert slots. Okay, the main reason why I only use hardware on audio tracks is the following. Because I can do something that's called committing them. So you can commit them, then it records it through the analog piece of gear, and then it creates a new audio file with that hardware piece baked in. So unless the artist wants to replace certain files that have gone through analog gear, or I've done a little bit too much compression that I cannot undo, I would not really have a reason to go back to that analog gear. And yes, I can also do this on my auxiliaries. But then when I do a revision and I change something about the sends afterwards, it's not going through the analog gear anymore, so it won't have the same effect. So I would need to recall it, which I'm trying to prevent. Okay, enough yapping. Let's see what we can do on a vocal and how hard we can push the APB8. I'm just going to approach this as a Fairchild type compressor, I think.
Come watch it fuck it up, child, that shit, it want it up. Why I never gave it up, why are they chasing the buck? I'm that massive attack, swooping through the bag, heavy more 20 stack. I'm like all hands on that, I'm gonna ride it out with no end. When you're so fire you can't keep watching why you can't stand me. You're so sour you candy, that water in your eyes just made a grown man cry. Ain't no one wasting my time, you try and test me, you're fired. Come watch it fuck it up, child, that shit, it want it up. Why I never gave it up, why are they chasing the buck?
Okay, let's see what it does when we really compress. It's minus 12. Let's see if we can get that.
Come watch it fuck it up, child, that shit, it want it up. Why I never gave it up, why are they chasing?
Make it a bit faster so we can actually recover a bit more.
Come watch it fuck it up, child, that shit, it want it up. Why I never gave it up, why are they chasing the buck? I'm that massive attack, swooping through the bag, heavy more 20 stack. I'm like all hands on that, I'm gonna ride it out with no end. When you're so fire you can't keep watching why you can't stand me. You're so sour you candy, that water in your eyes just made a grown man cry. Ain't no one wasting my time, you try and test me, you're fired.
Not sure if this is actually close to a Fairchild 670, but hey.
Come watch it fuck it up, child, that shit, it want it up. Why I never gave it up, why are they chasing the buck?
Okay, that's 12 dB compression with the plugin. Now 12 dB compression through actual analog components.
Come watch it fuck it up, child, that shit, it want it up. Why I never gave it up, why are they chasing the buck? I'm that massive attack.
Okay, so the McDSP is a bit brighter, so I'm trying to keep that in mind. But I am feeling that it is a hard compression on both of them. but I feel the plugin is squashing it a bit and just smudging, kind of. And with the hardware, I still have a little bit of transient and actual in-your-faceness. Now, they're both not nice sounding on this vocal. That's not what I'm going for. I'm not trying to impress anyone with my compression setting skills, if that is even a thing. But I really wanted to do this experiment to hear what difference this makes. With the APB8, you can process up to 8 channels, so that is 8 monos or 4 stereos. With the 16, you can do 16 monos or 8 stereos, or any configuration you might like using the 16 or 8 channels. The APB8 you can pick up for 3760 over at KMR Audio Germany, and the APB16 you can pick up for 6,489 euros. Now, do note that with my code Thomas5, you actually get a 5% discount, which on this unit is a discount of 324 euros, which could go towards some other unit you really want to buy, which you can also do with my discount. Wow, it's like a cycle. It's like a loop. You get a discount, you buy something new. Oh, you get a discount, you buy something. Oh, you get a discount again, you buy something. The last thing I'm really curious about is how the McDSP plugins that are going through the analog processing box compare to an actual hardware compressor. So I've got the Veritube compressor by Taylor. That is my Verimute compressor. And then I'm going to use the Royal Mu because I think setting wise, I can get those two closest. For this comparison, I'm using the mix that I've made after the session I had with Daniel Nolet after we did an acoustic version of his track Winter. If you want to see the full process of that recording session we did, make sure to check out the join button down below, because there you'll find the virtual internship, and that will give you exclusive access to a collection of recording walkthroughs, mix breakdowns, and on top of that, you gain access to a WhatsApp group with all the other virtual interns, with my team members, and of course myself as well. Okay, so let's see what the difference is between this McDSP plugin going through the analog processing box and an actual hardware tube-based Verimute compressor by Taylor.
But it's like my feelings are behind the curtain, in troubled breathing, and I tend to hurt you. Oh, I have it all, I have it all, but I can't find the reason. But it's like my feelings are behind the curtain, in troubled breathing, and I tend to hurt you. Oh, I have it all, I have it all.
Let me know down below in the comments if you are going to stick with just plugins, if you're going for actual hardware analog gear, or if you're going to try this crossover with the McDSP APB. While your mouse is down there, make sure to check out my affiliate links, and also do note that I have a couple of services like stem mastering, mix feedback, and one-on-one sessions. If you need any help with whatever it is you're doing, your production, your mixing, setting up your studio, shoot me a message, and if I can help out, I gladly will do so. And I will see you on the next video. Later!